But was Memphis ever like a home base for your developmental, or no? Like you
Yeah.
were strictly Stanford, or did you
Oh,
actually stay in Memphis?
no, for me, no, 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 no. I never went down there to
Like
stay.
permanently, there was never
No.
like a yeah.
By that time, I was in. At that time, not by that time, but at that time, I was in Stanford doing the thing where I was traveling. In the office, I was going back and forth to the studio. But if I needed to travel somewhere, and I don't know if that was when the scouting started coming up. I'm sure it was, but at the same time, anytime we were scouting, we were always working too. Like we'd get in the ring and
Yep.
kill two birds with one stone,
Because
or
it's
be or have the bird stoned with one
oh,
bird. I don't know.
because it's like your home base is Stanford, but you'll go down to Memphis. You'll even be a player coach, wrestle there, and same thing with the Sparta boys up in WWA. You'll
Ah,
go up there and you'll wrestle. But around that same time period, it seemed like player coach was a big thing for you.
it was. It was a big thing, and it was a cool thing, and that was the fun part when I would go to Louisville and Cincinnati for a week. I'd spend the first part of the week either in Louisville first, OVW, and their TVs were taped. I think they might have been taped either on a Wednesday or Thursday, and HWA would do the same thing. So after the TVs, I would go down and spend Thursday and Friday in Cincinnati and scout them. So I get 2 days in Louisville live watching practice. Wednesday would be a TV for HWA and OVW. Then I go to HWA Thursday and Friday, and that was a lot of fun because I got to hang out with Danny Davis, Jim Cornette, Les Thatcher, and uh, go down and see the guys in a wrestling environment. And you saw the guys. I saw the guys, and everybody who went to both places, OVW and HWA. They saw the guys who loved being there. And you can tell when you're in the ring, especially in summertime, and you're working hard, you're wrestling around, and you get the big puddle of sweat in the middle of the ring. It's like an ice rink. You slip and slide, and the guys will say, "Be careful, take your time," and they would, but they didn't want to quit. And you had guys who enjoyed being in the ring, who enjoyed those long days, and seen I saw an attitude change through the years, but for the most part, I think it still holds true. If you have a goal and you have an attitude and you have a plan to accomplish it, it can be done. It really can be done. But you have to apply yourself. And there's no substitute for doing the work. It's like, how do you tell somebody how to get better? Um, Work for it is about the only answer I have. Put in the work. Figure out the questions you need to ask. If there aren't any, get in there and ask what if it feels right to you. It should feel so foreign. It should feel like it doesn't fit at all if you lock up with somebody and you grab their right arm. That shouldn't even enter your brain. And that's where you have to work towards, where you don't do it until you get it right. You do it till you can't get it wrong. And I love that quote because it's true.
I forgot to mention this before. I should have mentioned this. You know what the name of that awesome team is of you and Doctor Death and Giant Silva and Bruce? You know what? Do you remember the name of what you guys were
I
called?
I do not.
Very simplistic, but very great. Team Prichard was the name.
Well, of course it would be. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yep.
Sure. Of course I remember that. I remember like it was 30 years ago.
Is that one of those things too? Like the eyes of Vince aren't really on you.
No.
Bruce, you know what I mean? Like Bruce can go
You're
down
right.
there and relax and do whatever he wants. Like shit, I'm
Yeah.
making up my own team. I'm Team Prichard. Vince is not looking. I can do whatever I
I,
want down here. Yeah.
I got to tell you, I think this could be true. I'm not sure because I never scouted for NFL, HFL, or any of that stuff. But I used to go down to Louisville, as I said, and stay with Danny Davis for 2 days at his house. Had a beautiful house. Um, we would go to work, uh, do what we needed to do, come back to the house, have a nice dinner, watch a movie, whatever it may be. It was very, very enjoyable. And same thing in Cincinnati. I would go and we'd get a room, but we'd go out to eat. Les Thatcher and myself, we'd we'd talk and have a good time. Then you go back to the office, you give your report. This was as I think computers were just coming out, and I was just getting a computer and learning how to do the files and attach, and it was so foreign. But these days, I get we have to have a corporation. I get $1 billion industry, and I get that it's not just wrestling anymore, and there's different rules that apply now, and there's different things you're looking for. But I thought we got some pretty good talent from OVW, definitely, and we got some great talent from HWA too. And it was a lot of fun scouting the guys because there was more passion back there, in my opinion. And uh, for good or worse, things change, and the business changes, and the people who were born in 1990 or 2020 or 20 not 2020 2000, they don't know what came before them. They can't choose when they're born, so they only know what they see, know if they like it or if they don't. But what they like about today's business is the cool stuff, and they should like the cool stuff. But they're missing a lot of other things that went by the wayside when the business changed, and the car rides and the talks and the ideas that pop in your head. Ox Baker, I know we're going long, but I got to tell you, Ox Baker was riding with Lynn Denton one time, and Lynn was the grappler. It was in a car ride where Ox just out of the blue said, "You know what you ought to do in your promos? To end it, just say, hey, when you're the greatest wrestler in the world, they don't call you the greatest wrestler in the world. They call you the grappler. Beat me if you can." And Lynn took it and made it a tagline for his whole career on a car ride. And you don't get that kind of creativity necessarily today. Some parts you might, but it's not the same. We didn't have 20 riders or however many riders they have now. It was from you or somebody else who suggested it, or one guy, the booker, the director, whatever you want to call it. So that's what the developmental system around Memphis and HWA and OVW and even in Spartas. That's what it was. And again, I think we got some great once in a lifetime talents that came out of that system.
Crazy, like if you just look, even the experienced guys, the talented guys, but then you throw in all the young guys that would eventually become, even like Too Cool is down there and Stasiak. Brian Danielson at one point is in Memphis. You know what I mean? Then you sprinkle in the Regals of the world. You're coming in, Tracy Smothers, Dr. Death. Pretty crazy, like to just look at it and think of all the guys that's popping in and out of Memphis, Tennessee, especially developmental at that point.
Yeah, but it was a crazy business, and the people in Memphis in West Tennessee wanted that craziness. They wanted um, some of the outrageous stuff. Lawler, when he took the book, they used to switch it back and forth. Lawler would take it maybe 3 months. Dundee would take it 3 months. Then Jerry Jarrett would take it, and if somebody else was there, Eric Embry would take it, and Lawler loved to use monsters. He loved to use the movie characters. He loved that kind of stuff. And while it was hokey as hell sometimes, it could also be entertaining as hell. And so the fans could suspend their belief. And as an example, you had guys like the Fabulous Ones, Steve Kern and Stan Lane, good looking guys, and they popped the territory. They were making more at the gimmick table, more selling pictures and T-shirts than they were on their weekly checks. So, uh, my point is, if you have a great combination, if you have a great worker, a guy who goes out there and captures the fans' imagination in any sport, in anything, then people will hear about it and people want to go see it. So I think we're always trying to find that combination. I think we're always trying to find what works. And you're always trying to find that special piece of talent, that special person that's going to be able to connect and be a Ric Flair, be a Stone Cold, be a Brock Lesnar. And that's the nature of the game, looking for the next big thing.
great stopping point, and we can now talk about your book, A Pro Wrestling Curriculum, Advice, Suggestions, and Stories to Help the Aspiring Pro Get to the Next Level. Dr. Tom, where can they get this awesome book?
They can get that awesome book at jpwrestlingacademy.com. It's on the front page. Just click it on, and it'll take you, I believe, to Amazon or some fine place to buy that wonderful book.
Nice. Good stuff there. Of course, you can also go to Pro Wrestling Tees, ProWrestlingTees.com. They get the JPWA store or the Dr. Tom store. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Two Man Power Trip. Check out the website, tmptempire.com. And of course, Dr. Tom can be followed on Twitter at Dr. Tom Prichard. Dr. Tom, what else do you got going on?
Well, as I said, we are graduating the first class of 2022 this weekend as we are recording this. That will be March 26th in Dixon, Tennessee. So at the fairgrounds, if anyone has listened to this before, after, or during, well, during might be a little crazy, and after might be a little crazy too. But before that, come on out and see us. It's a great place, nice wrestling building.
Now, I always get kind of confused because they always fairgrounds and they hear fairgrounds got torn down. Was that the Nashville fairgrounds that got torn down? I guess they built new fairgrounds, or what's going on?
No, I don't think the Nashville Fairgrounds got torn down. That was where the NWA was the past weekend, I believe.
But it was like a newer building. I think, yeah, I think it was a
Possible.
newer because I remember the one that TNA used to run in. I don't think is there anymore. I don't.
No, maybe not. I really don't know. But
The asylum, if you will.
and that was an asylum at times, I promise you. But I honest to God, you could be correct. And I think I heard the same thing, that they did tear down the old fairgrounds. But that was one of those things where you had a good guy dressing room on the opposite side and a bad guy dressing room on this side. And you come out for the first time, you might meet your opponent for the first time and weren't able to talk to him at all. And when I first started, that happened to me in Louisiana. And I came back and told Paul Bosch, when he asked how it went, I said, well, I didn't get a chance to go over the match with him beforehand. He goes, oh, my God. There are so many nights I wasn't able to go over my match. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, well, I'm terrible. I'm drizzling shits. But then I understood what he meant. And it's just about relaxing. It's about listening and all that good stuff. So that was the way the buildings were. Sometimes you didn't know how to do it. So that's why you had to learn how to work. You had to learn how to get your reps in and just feel it. So